Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Matter of the Heart. I am your host, Carol Olivia, and I'm always so glad that you take the time out to listen to the Matter of the Heart, where we try to bring you positive, healing, empowering stories, all to elevate your spirit, because we really feel that the spirit is so vital for your total well-being. I'm sure some of you have heard the words, the law of attraction. And if you haven't studied it or if you haven't followed it, I'm sure many of you have heard the word, the law of attraction. And in the traditional way, some people say that you'll attract into your life whatever you focus in on through positive thoughts or even creative visualization. Listeners, do you think that you can attract anything in your life with the concept of a law of attraction, anything or anyone on your own? Is there more to this? Could there be much more to this than simply what we have heard? Is there a deeper insight with this? And why is it, which I find interesting, that if you visit or if you have an astrology chart, or you go to visit an intuitive, clairvoyant, clairaudient, psychic, that they can actually tell you the major events that are going to happen in your life no matter what, irrespective of the concept of law of attraction. Well, tonight's topic is the law of attraction, a deeper insight. And our guest for the show is Veronica Entwistle. Veronica is a radio host of Paradigm Shifters on BBS Radio. She's an intuitive and energy counselor. She's a medium, connecting loved ones on the other side. And she's also an author. And she's the author of My Near Life Experiences, and How Do I Know When I Am Really Me? And Veronica is also an international speaker. So we welcome you, Veronica. We welcome you to the Matter of the Heart.
I thank you, Carol. And you notice life is always a matter of the heart, isn't it?
Yes. That's a very great statement. Thank you. Yes, it is.
But I love that I'm here with you and we're talking about the law of attraction.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you look at it? What's your insight into it? Because I mentioned, if somebody goes to an intuitive or clairaudient or astrologer, that the major events are going to seem to happen no matter what. What is your concept of the law of attraction, Veronica?
Well, I think that's an interesting comparison because I think I would take it a little differently in that if someone predicts, or if I predict, because I do predict sometimes, I really believe that we can massage with our creative visualization and with our intention, we can massage those up and coming episodes to a degree. Okay, so I don't think anything is totally destiny. Now we can argue about that forever, but that's how I feel. But the thing about law of attraction, I remember when it first came out, that movie first came out, The Secret. I remember because I worked so hard with so many people on our subconscious and our soul's journey. You have a soul journey that's really powerful and you really want to get it done. And the thing about the law of attraction, it didn't talk about what had been stored in the belly, the subconscious. It doesn't talk about the many different layers of what we are. So I can be attracting all kinds of things from a superficial layer, but I can also attract a kind of a bankruptcy or a lesson to be learned or something. Someone who comes in and looks like they have all the answers, and I've been predicting that and I've been projecting that, but then all of a sudden that person really almost destroys me. And I do understand from the way people are, and many people that I've known, is very often it's somewhere deep down in the soul that you're finishing off some other work. And in our presentation with the law of attraction, we're not, well, I'm making the assumption you're talking about visualization and so on, but we're not actually putting into that dream or that affirmation, all the layers of who you are and what might also come with, for example, the person that you want to attract in. Do you see what I mean? So we weren't given, to me, enough information to really drop inside and, does that
Right.
make
Right. So there's much more to it, I think, than meets the eye. I think we're both in agreement of that. And you mentioned the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that the soul, I mean, I know some philosophies, I know Vedic astrology says, that the soul makes a contract, as far as the major events go. What do you feel the soul is directing our course, irrespective of the law of attraction?
I think that's true. I do think that's true. It gets intricate, doesn't it? Because the law of attraction that many people have used since, for example, The Secret came out and it got very fashionable, is more simplistic than that. People are not backing up and saying, I got to find out what contracts I'm here to do in this lifetime. What is my purpose in this lifetime? What aspect of my soul? Can I jump shift that? Can I make changes in that? Right? So one more thing about the law of attraction, I think it brings to you and attracts to you where you're at the time, which as you grow could absolutely change. But it just gets, so I heard Neil Donald Walsh talking and he was calling it the law of resonance. So for example, if in your soul you have a design to accomplish this, this, and this, each of those designs resonates, doesn't it? It has its vibrational flair. So in the law of attraction, I think his complaint was similar to mine, which is that people weren't understanding the bigger picture, and that in the law of resonance, whatever you're resonating from your subconscious and or your superconscious, which is in a state of incredible transformation, all of that resonates out there and brings back some reflection of those parts of you too. You see what I mean? It just, to me, was such a much bigger law than what was being taught or what is being taught. And I find many people will say to me, I've been doing the law of attraction for years and so far I haven't gotten what I set out for. And I just often think, well, you're resonating at a different level deep down. So you and I we're energy beings, as you know, and what we put out there is not just a clear message. It can be, unless you're in touch with that, excuse me. Sorry. So that's the complication that I bring up.
No, I understand that. I kind of agree with you. So what I'm thinking as you're speaking, Veronica, is we could put it out there through positive thoughts and visualizations, but there's much more to this than meets the eye, to understand more of the total being who we are on that subconscious level, on that soul level, on other levels that we don't hear about as often.
That's right. And they're not as succinct and as direct. Many people do know what we're born in to do. Most of us have some inklings
right
about what's really our purpose in this life, right? And if you equate the law of attraction to that might help.
Okay. But the purpose of life, are you saying that has to do with the law of attraction or the soul's journey?
I would say that it has to do with both. The soul's journey drives it.
Right.
And the law of attraction, to me, let me see, they go together in a way, but the law of attraction has often seemed to be fairly superficial from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
The soul's journey will attract in the drama it takes to complete its learning curves and to, I see it as spiraling and see it becoming what it is it came to do, right?
Right. No, I definitely agree with you. I couldn't help but think, because of we're talking about creative visualization, how could we apply that with our soul's journey, with a creative visualization, Veronica? Any tips on that? To
Um,
with our soul, or
well, how do you contact what your soul wants, Carol?
Well, I try to follow the signs as much as I can. Synchronicity, listeners, and Veronica. Yes, the sign, because I feel the signs are connected to a very powerful force, the creator. And that I personally,
Talking to us, right?
yes, and I personally feel major events are going to happen. I think it's a matter of how to work with them, or the in-between steps, and what we can learn. And sometimes those major events might take longer if we haven't learned the process in between. But the soul's journey to me is, no, I really do very strongly follow the signs.
Hmm. And the signs, so I've been taught, is synchronicities. When they amp up and you have more and more of them, it just tells you you're in sync with your soul's journey, right?
Yes. And
And you
I
don't
think,
always have a lot of them. You have to kind of get yourself into the state of your own soul's demands.
yes. And I think its purpose is to align us. Because the more we are aligned and the more we bring in those signs and follow it, we're aligning ourselves with our total being that was created. Because at our birth, there was a balance,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So when we're working more with those signs, then I really feel that our spirit, or it becomes very aligned with our total being.
I think that's absolutely true. But we do know we learn a lot about how to honor our soul's journey by paying attention to the signs, don't we? We learn what's coming from inside. It's not just attraction from outside.
Right.
Unless you call the universe's messages to us as coming from the law of attraction. I'm not sure if it's used that way. What do you think of that?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because we're using the word law of attraction, and we used it in a traditional way, but we could also say we're attracting the signs, or the signs are attracting us. We could look at it I don't like to use the word higher level, but a universal level. That law of attraction is attracting, being with the signs that the creator gives to us, so that there's much more of a bond and alignment and harmony with our journey. So that I think when you do that more and more, I think there's a sense of freedom, that there's not as much of a burden, because we're
And
freeing.
you're calling that the law of attraction?
Yes, yes. In that universal way with the creator, why not say we're attracting also the law of nature, of the creator, back and forth, the harmony.
So instead of creative visualization, you're saying just to be in your soul's purpose will create the attraction that you need.
I think so, because you're
Mm-hmm.
working with it in a natural way, what was given to us. And sometimes, listeners, we get confused what was given to us. We go to school and the teacher tells us you should pursue this, or a parent tells us to pursue that. And then we take a career and we're not happy in it, but we're still in it. We have a relationship that's not necessarily the healthiest. I mean, it's kind of like chiseling away the layers. So we're attracting exactly what is best for us.
To bring in the chiselers, right?
Yes.
And what's going to knock all the edges off of our soul's journey, and we get clearer and clearer, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the law of attraction, where I was referring to creative visualization, you're saying it's not that. It's that there's an attraction of synchronicities and messages from the universe that will help you grow and refine your life. And I think a lot of people understood law of attraction as it would be an accomplished thing. I'll get this
Right.
house. I'll get this.
That's true. Right.
I'll
It's
have
happening.
charm. Yeah.
Right.
So it is a deeper thing than just that, isn't it?
Right.
Much-
Right. No, that's a good point. When we in the traditional way, the law of attraction, right, that it would be accomplished no matter what, you know, that it's finite, without recognizing, as you're talking about, discussing with us, Veronica, all the other avenues that are linked with it.
It's interesting because you brought up the soul several times, and I'm going, well, sometimes when we attract in, for example, I'll just use the cliche of the mate. We attract somebody in as Prince Charming, and oh my gosh, or Princess Charming, and everything's just wonderful. And then it starts to get challenging. Sometimes, not always, starts to get really challenging. And we haven't often been aware enough to say, oh, good, here's the challenge it's going to take me to grow, to refine and define myself. And that I find is kind of interesting, because there's another quality that I like to cogitate, which is a lot of us, at least I have been, and many people I know, have been deeply lonely. And what I understand is that loneliness is an attraction tool. It's teaching us to go in and find out who we are and what does our soul want. So in that sense, that's kind of a more obtuse version of the law of attraction. But now if I get lonely, I go, oh, what part of me is not expressing? And sometimes it's through something that looks like a mistake that teaches me to see what I'm looking for. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And I think Carl Sandburg, the I think poet or author, said that his creativity flourished through his loneliness.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, because you're looking for yourself, and he's so incredibly creative, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's helped me help a lot of people who are lonely to understand that, hey, your soul's talking to you, you know.
Ah, okay.
And how many people, I know you interview people and so on, there's people who've done amazing things, and it was always birthed in that sense of being completely left out of life and finding themselves alien to almost everything around them, until the loneliness, the emptiness, and the question is available to hear from the universe or spirits. And they devise some amazing things that they can, you know, workshops and so on, they can bring into the world. But it took that hugely empty space, that incredibly lonely space, and the isolation to get to that. That's kind of like what you're talking about, Carl Sandburg, anyway.
Yes, yes. No, that's a great point. Well, from what we're saying then, we're expanding it tremendously. You know, we're delving much more deeper into more the roots of it. And we're not just accepting the traditional way, but we're
Never, Carol.
right. That's true. Looking at it in a more creative way, you know. So I'm just trying to think, if somebody wanted to meditate on, you know, what we're talking about, Veronica's the soul and the sense of loneliness. How would somebody go about that?
That's a good question. I suppose it depends on the nature of the person and what kind of meditations you've done, but I feel like I would do this, as I would do some deep breathing, because that shakes apart all the flotsam and jetsam in our lives, like really deep breathing, and then sit inside. And I would say, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? It's a great mantra. Or I'm lonely. I would say, I'm lonely. I'm lonely. And just let it run through your body and run through your body. And in a while, it kind of breaks open. And you get answers to yourself. It's like, don't run away from it. I'm saying to listeners, don't run away from it. Run into it and still yourself.
Right.
And notice that. The other thing, I just wanted to add this part, is we have so many realms that we're a part of. So we get answers that come in from much higher levels of just the loneliness. whether it's other beings, conscious beings, the universe, God, whoever you're talking to, but I would venture a guess that's many, many different realms of consciousness around us. And heaven only knows what can come in when you let yourself empty. In fact, years ago, I used to use I empty as a mantra.
That's interesting. I am empty.
No, I just said I empty. I empty.
Ah, interesting. Well, that's freedom. Um,
And it let me go through some big
right.
changes to
That makes sense. Right. Well, then that's interesting also, because then when there is more freedom, then we're talking about signs that'll come in more, quiet the mind, quiet the heart, and then things should flow more in a spiritual sense.
I think also you're right, things flow more, but you catch the signs, don't you? You catch the wisdom that comes if you're empty, or if you're giving over what you've been cluttered by or whatever. You know, we hear better when we don't have a lot of distraction.
You know, listeners, Veronica and I have been talking about signs, and Carl Jung created, or the concept, the word synchronicity, and that is signs. And it's kind of like maybe you're stuck at something, and correct me if I'm off here, Miss Ree, that you're at a crossroads and you just don't know which way to go, you know?
Right.
About attracting, law of attracting the sign. And then maybe at that time you can kind of like ask the creator, well, which way can I go? You know, so it's an inward meditation or question. And then you do get signs. I mean,
You get signs. It's
no,
funny because we have eagles in the front of the house here. And when I'm doing a reading, I'll be talking to somebody about relationships or that sort of thing. And then the eagles, and I think I said this on another one of our shows, but anyway, the eagles will start diving, and they'll dive either two together or two apart. And the synchronicity, of course, is obvious in the metaphor. Or another situation is when people go, I just don't know what to do, and a book falls off the shelf, right? And it's got some kind of subject that you're really interested in. Those kinds of synchronicities are really worth paying attention to.
oh, that's very interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I look back, the major events happened with the signs. Yeah, I couldn't escape the signs if I wanted to. So certainly, listen.
Isn't that wonderful?
You know, it's very, I would say, encouraging, in a way that listeners may, you know, certain events, whether you might not believe this, but I feel that certain major events will happen, and we're not in charge, and we're certainly not in control, and that word control is so misleading. And as Veronica was saying, when we're freer, then we can pick up on the sign, or the events of life, the attraction, the law of attraction, attracting what's supposed to be for us to go to the next step.
Transformation, huh?
Transformation.
Mm-hmm. We're magical critters, are we not?
Right. Transformation. That could be kind of included in it, actually, law of attraction, because law of attraction is just not one thing. It could be a continuous continuous events that are going to happen. And these continuous events, with our wisdom, then we know which steps to go next, to embrace. If we don't have the wisdom, and that's okay, because not everybody's going to have it all the time.
That's right.
And some will have more than others, whatever. But if you don't have it, then that law of attraction, that will come back to you again, so you can learn it again.
You're right about the learning too. Is there's something to learn. If we want, for example, Prince Charming comes in and he turns out to be a hooligan, right? In the law of, in a really deep understanding of the law of attraction, it would be dropping inside and allowing yourself to realize what it is in yourself that had to gather what wisdom or consciousness or heart, matter of the heart, in order to grow and transform. So this person is simply a messenger of that growth.
Right,
But it only works if you grow, right?
right. Well, this could be a great show, listeners, for another time, Veronica. Law of attraction with relationships. You
That
know,
would go on our whole lives, Carol.
right. I'm sure many of you have been in relationships when you look back that weren't necessarily the healthiest, and there was an attraction or it attracted you were attracted to it. And how can we learn from that? How can we learn to have constructive, positive relationships for our heart's journey?
For the matter of the heart. Yes, I think that's really true. It's a big deal. We don't even realize whether our relationships are difficult or not. They're really a ladder up our consciousness, are they not?
Right, yes.
Mhm.
And I think each relationship teaches you something different. And I
Mhm.
think the more you embrace each one, or that you're in it, you can see, if you look back, that you are climbing a ladder.
Mhm.
That you realize more and more what you want in a relationship. That person might have been simply a messenger that came into your life, you know?
Or
Uh,
I can look back and go, my expectations were really crazy in that one.
right,
I realize, yeah.
right. Well, that would be great for another show, Veronica Entwistle.
Well, let's do another show, Carol Adams.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You've been listening to The Matter of the Heart with guest Veronica Entwistle. We gave you a lot of food for thought about the law of attraction, and it certainly is up to you, your choice, to decide how you want to, or if you want to approach it. If you want to, and if you believe in the more traditional way, that's your freedom. And if you want to look at it in a broader way, as we were speaking about with the signs and the soul and the depth of it, that's your choice as well. We hope basically that we've given you food for thought on the law of attraction, which has been used over and over again over times. And we hope that you can meditate on it, reflect on it, and that this will be part of your journey in whatever way you feel it fits in to your life. Thank you, Veronica. Thank
Thank
you,
you so much, Carol, and thank you, listeners.
and thanks, and thanks, listeners. You've been listening to The Matter of the Heart, and I am your host, Carol Olivia.
Okay. Thank you.